I got 11 o'clock and I remembered to start the recording, so doing good. Good morning. So let's see. We are talking Screencastify for the rest of the day. Should have Ms. Kayla Rogers and Ms. Sarah Richardson here, as well as Ms. Stephanie Davis and the marvelous Vanessa Vanderplug. If you didn't join us for the first class this morning, I was sharing out that we were able to double the size of our tech coaches team, and so we've been able to permanently steal Vanessa away from Glens Valley and Lauren Krumholtz away from Clinton Young, and add them as full-time members alongside Dave and I here in the tech department, which is fantastic. So I wanted to let everybody know that. That's great. Anybody have anything to say in the words or in the way of getting started before I dig in? All righty. So we are talking Screencastify the rest of the day today in kind of three chunks. We're talking recording here, recording now with Screencastify, and my goal for the next hour to hour and a half for us, that you'll be able to use Screencastify to make and share a screen recording, and that you'll be prepared to support students in using Screencastify to make and share webcam recordings and or screen recordings. So the first thing to know is launching Screencastify, just to make sure you're logged in to Google Chrome with your Perry Township Schools account, and that will allow you to access our premium features. You'll have your Screencastify icon on the toolbar at the top of your browser. I'm going to change how I'm sharing my screen. One moment. Might look a little odd, but I wanted to make sure everybody could see what I was pointing at here. So at the top of Google Chrome, you're going to have an icon in your toolbar. It's a little arrow with a camera inside. So it's kind of pinky or peachy in color. And everybody should have that on your school devices. We pushed it out. Yeah, I know it's small. I'll switch back here in a second, but I wanted to make sure I could point at this and everybody could see. Launching Screencastify. Again, if you're logged into your Perry Township Schools account in Chrome, whether that's a school device or a personal device, if you've logged into Chrome, you should have access to your school extensions, which includes Screencastify. And if you click on that icon at the top, it will open your little window here and get you your options to begin recording. Okay. In that box, you've got three options across the top. You can tell it whether you want to record just one tab, your entire desktop, or your webcam. And you can decide whether you want that webcam on if you're recording your desktop or browser tab, and whether you want your microphone on. So those are your basic options. If I say browser tab, it's going to ask me which one here in a second. I don't want to confuse it too much, so I'll turn my microphone and webcam off. And then, of course, to start recording, I would hit record. And it's going to record this tab that I have open. So it's recording anything that I am doing here in this tab. Okay. Let me stop that for a second. I'll just pause. Okay. I have more options when I am starting a recording. I can click where it says more options or if they're open, it says hide options. And that lets me tell it whether I want to have a countdown and how many seconds I want. Lets me decide whether I want the drawing tools on or off. And it lets me either record the system audio, so like any videos or sound effects, or not. So there are some additional recording options there. So if I stop that. When I'm starting a recording, I can have it show more options. And then I have all of those things that I can play with. I think, yeah, my options for countdown are 3, 5, or 10 seconds. And I can turn those drawing tools on or off there. There's a shortcut, a keyboard shortcut that can turn those on or off as I'm recording. But those are my options when I'm getting ready to start a recording. Yeah, so to make a simple recording, you just make your selections there on the options. You click your blue button. If it asks about whether you want to record a particular window or a particular tab, you can make those selections. You wait for the countdown to end, and you can start recording. So I've made my selections. I tell it I want to record. Do I want my entire screen or just the one application window? So I can choose. Again, this case, let's go for my whole screen. Once it's selected, my share button turns blue. I get my countdown. And now I can start. I have my drawing tools turned on, and we'll talk about these different tools here in a minute, but they're down here, so I can use those, and I can record what I'm doing here on my screen. If I want to pause, restart, or stop, I just come back up to my Screencastify icon, and I have those options here. So I can pause and stretch, take a break, think about what I'm going to say next, and then resume recording if I wanted to. If I mess up and want to start recording again immediately, that's my restart button. Or if I decide, no, don't want to make a recording after all, I can just hit the trash. When I'm done, I hit stop. So very simple interface, very intuitive. And my next thing that I had planned was to give everybody some time to practice that. So I will start a timer. I'll check in on the chat there also. And yep, let people give that a shot. Alrighty, so we were having some people having a little bit of difficulty. So hopefully, if you're not on your Chromebook, then you are using the Google Chrome browser on your computer, and you've gone up to the top right and logged in using your Perry Township Schools account, and your sync is on. If all of those things are happening, you should. That's why I usually turn those tools off. They get in the way of me progressing through my slides. If all of those things are happening, you should have some little icons up next to the bar where you would type in your web address. And one of those is like a little peach arrow with a camera on it. And that is where your Screencastify, where you would click to launch Screencastify. And we can continue to try and problem solve for some other, for some folks in the chat if we need to do that. I'm going to go ahead and we'll look at what you see after you've completed recording. So once you get up here, you create your recording, you hit the red button to stop. What comes up after that is your video details screen. And it'll let you do several things. Up in the top left, it's got a title for your video, and you can rename it so that it isn't untitled and the date and time. You have options down at the bottom that, in theory, you can trim the beginning or end of your video. Sometimes that doesn't seem to work really well. You can turn the sound on or off as you're previewing it. You've got a button to open it in the editor, and editor is one of the things we're going to be talking about this afternoon. If you watch it through and it's crummy and you want to get rid of it, you can delete from here. The default setup should be that your files are saving into your Google Drive. So from there, you can copy a link and just email it out to people or put it into a Canvas assignment. You can also, from here, if you don't want to do any editing, publish your video to YouTube, or you can download that recording to your computer if you wanted to do that for any particular reason. Most of the time, you're not going to need to download it to your computer because it's already getting saved into your Google Drive. But if you wanted to download it so that you could put it into Flipgrid, or for whatever reason you wanted to have that file saved on your computer, you could do that. So all of that is there on your video details screen that you see after you complete a recording. The next thing I wanted to talk about were the tools. So that shortcut to turn those on or off when you're recording is Alt-T on a Chromebook or a PC, or it's Option-T on a Mac, and that'll turn those tools on and off. So I usually like to have them off for the most part because I'm usually using Screencastify to record over slides, and they kind of show up in the same place as my slides toolbar. But I certainly can turn those on. And depending on what you have selected in the bottom row, your upper row options are going to change. So let me go ahead and get in here and start a recording. Okay, so I've got my tools on here. With my arrow selected, I have options here to focus my mouse. So I've got a kind of a spotlight thing happening here. I also can turn that off. I can hide the cursor when it's not being moved so that my cursor goes away, or my Screencastify cursor goes away, my mouse pointer. I can have it highlight when I click or not. That's what I did. So now my mouse is hidden, but when I click, it's highlighted. So I've got all of those options for my cursor. If I have my pen selected, it lets me choose what color I want to write. So I'm doing my annotations on here. And all of this is being recorded. If I select my eraser, I can either erase or I can hit the button to wipe all of my stuff off the screen at once. And then, of course, my X will get rid of my tools. So a nice simple set of directions here. Nice simple set of options. If I pause my recording, then I have options down here to resume the recording or to end the recording. So that is my toolbar. And again, I can get rid of it. And an Alt-T on my keyboard will bring it back. Alt-T, again, will make it go away. So that's an important one to know. T for tools, Alt-T. for your drawing tools. Oh, Alt-T, let's switch back to my pointer before I get rid of my drawing tools so I can use my pointer. And then I can move forward. And again, the next thing I wanted to do was give folks a little bit of work time. We can work with problem solving some people, and those of you that are caught up with me can use this time to play a little bit with some of those tools.
So Jennifer, we have some questions about Alt-T not working, and what the website, what Screencastify's website says is that Alt-T only works on a live website. So it's not going to work on a blank Chrome page. It's not going to work on a Google search. It has to be a web page that's already active. So if you have your Google Slides open, it should work on that page, but it will not work on a blank page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And thank you for that. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with it on my PC. The first time I tried it on my Chromebook, it was being a little flaky, and I think that must have been what it was. I think it might have been, I might have had that incredible start page up. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for checking that. Okay. All right. So after the drawing tools, the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about there was the pancakes icon in the extension. So if I come up here to Screencastify and I click on my three horizontal lines, I always have confusion with those terms for some reason. If I click on my three horizontal lines, I get my pancakes menu, and that will let me look at some different things. So I can go and look at my recordings in Screencastify, all of them. I have options that I can adjust here. So that's where I can make sure it's saving by default to my Google Drive instead of saving everything to my device. And I have some other options here as well, as far as background tabs, upload progress, edit progress, record settings. So just lots of different options there from my settings. I can launch the editor from here. So if I wasn't, if I hadn't just completed a recording and I wanted to get into the editor, I can launch that from here. But the main thing I was wanting to show you was the classroom resources and the help. So you can get in, and they've got some really nice resources for people here. So there's a beginner's guide here with step-by-step blog posts. The Master the Screencast is a nice program that'll take you through kind of some of the basics. Again, just kind of another way of seeing some of this material presented from what we've been doing. And then kind of some of those next step stuff, some ideas for different ways to use this program in the classroom, particular ways to integrate with Screencastify and with Google. Their webinars, and this one's kind of neat because we do subscribe to the premium for not just us, but our students. There's a junior version of the Master the Screencast. So it's about a 10-minute course with an EdTech celeb where she's taking the kids through how to use that. So lots of good things. There's a link here to the different keyboard shortcuts, although I did also copy and paste that into the slides. Yep, and even more, all kinds of different things for different ways to utilize this tool. So my main goal for us this morning was just to get some experience in here, have everybody have a chance to make a video, try out those drawing tools, see what that screen looks like when you're finished. But there is lots more here available from Screencastify as well. Other than people whose computers are fighting us, are there any questions kind of about that general process, about what the tool is, what it can do as far as the recording piece?
We still have a couple of people asking about Alt-T. Do you mind if I share my screen and
Yes,
show how I did it? Okay.
Or no, I don't mind. Please do.
Thank you. I understood. Okay. I am in my recordings. Can you guys all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So I go, yeah, it's fine. I'll go up here where it says Screencastify, that little icon. You can embed your own picture if you're talking to your students as well. And then under show more options, I do have the show drawing tools open. When I click record, instead of it saying your entire screen, you're going to tab over to application window and then click it and click share. You're going to hear beeping. Sorry, that's my countdown. So now you can tell, I'm going to go over to my that's fine. You can see that there are no tools available. So now I'm going to do Alt-T on not that website. Sorry, it just worked on a different website. Okay, I'll do it here. Oh, you see my tools down below. And now I'll do Alt-T again, and they're gone. You can also go up to the top and stop your recording in the same way, just by clicking on it and stopping. Hopefully that's helpful. And now I'll get out of my screen share.
Anything else for the good of the cause, as far as general questions about how this process is used, or suggestions for ways that you can see this being used in the classroom?
I don't have any questions, but I've used it for a lot of different things, especially over this virtual learning experience. I used it for my classroom. I've used it for my parents. I've sent videos to my, I'm an EL teacher, and I've sent it to classroom teachers to show them how to use different programs. I, this summer, did a Screencastify on how to do a Screencastify for my technology team and for my EL translators, so that they knew how to make them in a different language. You're just recording your screen, so anything that you use on your computer, you can use for Screencastify.
Yeah, it's really good for recording how-tos. It's really good for recording your lesson. Let me hop out of here. If I pop my webcam on, I can be teaching. I can be teaching my students, and they can see my face, and I can be talking to them as well. Where is my? Lost my webcam, but I should be able to have my little webcam in there. I've got all kinds of good things that I can do with this, as far as sharing things with my students.
I also teach public speaking. So the kids use this for recording their speeches for me when we are not together. And then I ask them to please embed the camera so that I can judge the things like the physicality pieces that we would normally grade in person, while still seeing whatever their visual aid is. Some of them just use the webcam on it because they are using like an in-person visual aid instead of slides. So it gives them tons of options as far as what they're going to use. And then for our purposes, because they peer review each other on the on their speeches, I had them post the links to their videos once they were uploaded to their Google Drive so that they could share and they could watch each other's and do their feedback forms that direction also.
And yes, Michelle, if you are going through Google Slides, you can record your voice talking through the slides. You can have your webcam on or off. Your camera and your microphone are independent, so you can have your camera on and not be recording your sound, although I don't know why you would do that. But more frequently, you might not want to have the video, but want to be capturing your audio. So you can do either of those. And you can absolutely be talking as you're drawing on and annotating things on those slides to make the recordings, for sure. So that would be a really good way, to record a lesson. It might be something that you would do if you know you're going to be absent and you want to be able to have that model available for your kids. You could record that, put it into Canvas as a link, or embed a YouTube video that you've uploaded from Screencastify into Canvas, and then the kids have your lesson there. As far as going into Canvas, what you want to do is either put that video up onto YouTube and embed it into your Canvas class as a YouTube video, or you want to share the link with your students. What we don't want to do is upload a whole bunch of video files into Canvas, because video files are huge. And you'll start running out of storage really quickly. But yeah, those are the main things. Yeah, and this one was kind of a quickie, guys. I didn't want to. I want to be able to spend some time digging into the editor later, so I didn't want to put it all in one class. But I don't know that I have a great deal more to discuss. So as far as when you are starting a recording, what you choose here depends on what you want to capture. So like I've got this big screen with multiple windows open and multiple things going on. So if I wanted to capture my whole desktop with all of my windows and everything happening, be able to show my extensions opening up, be able to show my mouse as I'm moving around, that's where I would click desktop. If I just want to record myself looking into the camera and talking to the kids, that's where I would choose webcam only. Typically what I do is I record a browser tab, which is going to just show the one tab on my computer that I want to be doing my demonstration in, and it doesn't show anything else that I've got going on. So browser tab is by far the one I use the most, but it really depends on what it is that you're wanting to record, which one makes most sense. Same thing as to whether you want your microphone on or off, or your webcam embedded or not. Just depending on what it is you want to capture. So if all I want to do is talk to the kids, webcam only, record, and I just have me talking to the camera. And this might be something that you wanted your kids to do if they're doing homework from home, or if they end up being remote, either by choice or by, we might all a building at a time have to be closed for a few days or what have you, they could record themselves just talking to the camera this way. You could have them record them playing an instrument. You could have them record them singing. They could record a book talk, any number of different things there. So that was the webcam. Oh, that's nice. You can see my water dish for Izzy when we get to puppy sit back there in the background. I didn't realize that. But yeah, that's the all of it. Oh hush. I will record the editing class for sure, and I will get that pushed out as soon as possible, really and truly. I know we've been recording stuff this summer and I've gotten hung up on the editing, but I know that these classes today were in high demand and only offered once. So I will get these edited up and out at some point this week for people. In addition to what I've got to offer and the way of a recording, if you weren't able to get in, again, if you go into the Screencastify menu like you were going to start a recording and you click those pancakes, under this classroom resources, Screencastify has provided a lot of different resources and training. And so the Master the Screencast should have some information in there. The beginner's guide should have some editing information in there. So whether it's you couldn't get into our class this afternoon or you just want to see it from a different perspective, their resources here are quite good. But we always like to be able to offer you a customized to Perry Township version when we can. Certainly don't feel like the summer PD is the only support we have to offer you for this. We're more than happy as we get back into school time to come out and work with individuals or better yet small groups at the school on how best to use this for you, how best to use it for your students. We're more than happy to support you via video conference one-on-one where you can share your screen with us. We'll be more than happy to come out and mask up and work with you in the classroom. So we are very much available to you all year long. We're just trying to push out the basic information in mass to as many people as possible this summer. Your extensions are, so there was a question about whether the new Chromebooks would have Screencastify installed. Your extensions, which Screencastify is one of those, are attached to your Google login. So if you are logged in to Google Chrome with your school account, regardless of what device you're on, you should have access to all of your extensions. So any Chromebook, your school PC, if you're logged into your Chrome account, your personal devices, if you're logged into your Chrome account with your school device, you should have access to any of your extensions. So that's Extensity, Screencastify, Google Dictionary, any of those things that show up along the top there. And then there was a question as far as kind of the difference between Screencastify and recording in Meet. Typically, if you are wanting to have other people that you're interacting with, you would do a Meet and record it. Otherwise, it's usually simpler to do the Screencastify, especially since it's tied in to easy YouTube upload, and it's also tied into that editor. But there's not a great deal of difference if it's just you talking to the camera. There's not a great deal of difference with a screen share either. You can use either one. It's just more a matter of whether you have live people to interact with. You probably want to go with Meet, and if you don't, you probably want to go with the Screencast. And again, I'm happy to hang out and answer questions, but I think that covers the most of it.